Hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Terri Show that I want to start with a question. If you're being honest with yourself and you think about forgiveness, right? Someone saying, well, you should forgive that person. Do you have a connection to forgiveness of like giving up, of someone somehow getting over on you, or you condoning bad behavior if you forgive them? Anybody raise your hand? If you are raising your hand, then this episode of the Terri Show is for you, because I'm going to be talking about what I'm calling the new forgiveness, which is really about releasing resentment in this episode. And I'm going to give you a very powerful 4-step process that you can do to release yourself from resentment prison. Sound good? All right. So before we get moving, if you are new to my channel, introduce yourself below. We're a very friendly group. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so that you get notified when we roll out new stuff, which is all the time. Twice a week, we got new things for you, and I wouldn't want you to miss a thing. And if you happen to be new to my channel, you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a relationship expert, and the author of Boundary Boss, which you can get at boundarybossbook.com. You all know how much I love answering all of your questions and reading all of your comments. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love to highlight one of the comments each week. So this week, I'm highlighting a comment under the episode, The Art of Self-Soothing, from Miss Meow. She says, thank you so much, Terri, for this really helpful video. I'm so thankful for all of your thoughtfulness and compassion, which means so much to me. Often when I need to soothe myself, I'll take some time at home to change into something really soft, comfortable, and settle on to a comfortable sofa or my bed with a nice cup of tea. Then I just close my eyes and rest in silence. Well, good for you, Miss Meow, and I'm really glad that the content is helping you. Okay, let's move on into today's content. As I said at the top, do you get the feeling, because I find this way with my therapy clients, that forgiveness, it's like if you're forgiving someone, it equates to like losing something or condoning their crappy behavior. It's almost like if you forgive, it feels like someone has gotten over on you. Oh yeah. So hence why in my teachings and the things that I talk about, what I write about, I very rarely talk about forgiveness straight up in the traditional way of forgiveness, because there is so much religious connotation that can come along with that. There are so many things that complicate it that I sort of just stay away from it. Really, when we think about forgiveness, the reason we should quote unquote forgive is because it liberates us, right? That is what it's about. When we're holding on to resentment or pain from an injury, from an experience from someone, they're on with their life, right? It's really not about them. It's about us releasing toxic emotions that are interfering with creating the life that you want or your future happiness. So basically, we're going to be reframing forgiveness. And it just happens to be, by the way, Forgiveness Week this week. Did you even know there was such a thing? Well, there is. So I thought that this was very timely to revisit releasing resentment as the new forgiveness, because that's really what it's about, during this week. Because really, let's be honest, forgiveness is for the forgiver. That's it, right? Forgiveness frees your heart. So we can release resentment and, quote unquote, rock our new forgiveness, even if the person that we're having this conflict with has already transitioned, isn't even here anymore, because this is really just about you letting yourself out of resentment prison. And when we do this, we're freeing up so much space, right? Think about how valuable your mind real estate is. And what happens when we continue ruminating about situations from the past, where you think about it and you get hot, and then you think about all the things you wished you said, or if you get a chance, you're going to say, or if you ever see them again, you will say, right? That's just time that you are not present in your life. And really think about it. It's not about whether the other person deserves forgiveness. It's about whether you deserve the freedom and the lightness that comes from releasing this, right? Learning how to allow yourself to leave that crappy experience behind. But don't worry, we're not just going to leave it behind, because that also wouldn't be very therapeutic. There are things that you can do so that we really learn something from our experience. It's similar to what I do annually, right? We have our burn ritual on New Year's Eve that many of you have been doing for me for, I think, over a decade now. And one of those, we burn things during that ritual. You're also going to be burning something in this process as you're releasing resentment, because we want to get rid of that negative energy from our body, from our lives. But there's something very powerful, consciously and unconsciously, when you're like putting your stake in the ground. You're like putting the universe on notice. Like, this crap has taken up way more than the amount of time I should have given it in my life. I need to be done with it. Either we need to make a decision that some action needs to be taken, right? Do we need to make amends? Do we need to confront? Do we need to write a letter? But before you do any of that, you're going to walk through this process, because it's something that it's important for you to get really clear within yourself before you're actually involving anyone else. And listen, we all heal at our own pace, right? The things that harm you, that you're holding on to, would be different than the things that have harmed me in my life. So whatever it is that you're feeling resentful about in your life, an emotional injury that's happened from an interaction, and could be a divorce, a separation, a betrayal. It could be just someone saying something that hurt your feelings. And we can hold on to those things. Many of us are incredibly tender. I know a lot of you identify as highly sensitive folks like me, and empaths like me. And that means that we hold on to stuff, that things touch us very deeply, which, again, can be our superpower, or the thing that completely brings us down because it's so incredibly exhausting. Painful memories, we can hold on to them for so long. Painful interactions. This is normal, right? So don't make yourself super wrong if you're doing this. Just get committed right now, seeing as how it is National Forgiveness Week, to go with me. Let's do this thing, shall we? So this is the process we're going to walk through to free ourselves from resentment prison. The first thing that we need to do is to take a resentment inventory. So this is basically an inventory of the injuries, of the experiences, the feelings. What is it that you're holding on to? What is rolling around in your mind when you can't sleep, when something happens and a memory gets triggered, and you just want to go off on how unfair that was, or how wrong that other person was, and you really want to tell them? Because we can spend hours ruminating, days, weeks, lives, like entire lives can be spent negatively ruminating on injuries from the past. But you know what, you guys? I don't want that for you. You don't want that for you. There's so many better things you could be doing with your time, but we have to honor those injuries. So we can't sort of shame ourselves or will ourselves to just let it go. Like, just come on, it happened so long ago. What's wrong with you? That doesn't help. Honoring is how we will integrate these experiences. So you first have to know what it is. So first step is doing a resentment inventory, and you can go all the way back. So what are the biggest, most painful experiences where you feel like you need to, quote unquote, let it go or forgive the other person, right? Again, we're flipping that. This is the new forgiveness. So we're really just talking about releasing ourselves from resentment prison. That's what we're doing. So you're going to make a list of who it was, when it was, what the experience was. So we're going to get really clear on what of these injuries needs your attention. And you're going to write. Let's get it all out, because it's super helpful. Just big and small, all the things. And you can start with the really big ones, the ones that take up more of your time. But I do this with everything. I do this step-by-step process with anything that is sucking away my precious psychological and mental bandwidth from creating the life that I want, from doing what I want. Because that is exactly what happens. It's co-opting. It's like allowing resentment to steal your bandwidth, which we do not want to do. So Number one, you do the resentment inventory. And then number two, we've got to get the gems out of that crap stew, meaning we have to understand what actually happened. So I'm going to give you a couple of ways that you can do this. There's one process, some people like it, some people don't, where you're going to write out the injury itself again, but you're going to write it from a third person perspective. So don't worry, in the downloadable guide, terricole.com/guide, I'll give you, everything will be written out. You don't have to take notes. So it's like you're a New York Times reporter and you're writing it from a less biased perspective. Would you feel the same about it? Could you have a deeper understanding of why the person did what they did? And again, this is not to minimize your injury. This is for you to understand. And I'll give you other ways to do this. If you don't like that, because some people don't, that's fine. I want you to ask yourself, and I'll give you these questions in the guide. What did you learn about yourself from that experience? How did that experience, even though it was painful and it sucked, how did it change you? And listen, some experiences, there are no gems, right? Except your resilience. Maybe that's a gem. But so if you're talking about horrible things that happened in childhood or a terrible, hateful divorce with someone who tried to ruin your life, the gems are going to maybe be small, right? But you will have big gems about how resilient you are and how you're still standing and you're still here. So again, this step number 2, about finding the gems in the crap stew, that is not to say, oh, look, here's a silver lining to that terrible thing that happened to you. That's not to be hyper positive, and that's not to minimize the pain that you experienced. I just know from doing this for 25 years as a therapist that this is a valuable step in this process. Number 3, it is really important that we be witnessed as we go through this. So you want to find a trusted other. You don't want anyone weighing in. You really just want someone witnessing you with compassion. It could be a group. You could find, if you don't have anyone in your life, you can do this. I know that there are anonymous groups online. We'll give you some info on that, where you can talk about something and do it completely anonymously and people can witness you. You want to make sure that you are requesting no input though. Because a lot of times if we have friends, even if they're well-meaning and they love us, they may want to get into like the fix-it mode or tell you why it's not that bad, and that will not be helpful. So witnessing with no opinion and with compassion. And then the last step in this ritual is we're going to release this experience. So this is where we're going to do the burn ritual. You're going to have down all the painful things that you want to let go of from each one of these experiences, and you're going to release them. I'm also going to share with you an energy exercise from Lara Riggio, who is energy medicine coach, an energy expert, an energy coach that is I've used for many years. We've shared clients for many, many years, and her work is incredibly powerful. And I do it in my own life actually every single day. So she's going to give us something that will help us clear that energy as we are doing the burn and releasing the energy. And you can do the energy routine that she'll give us, the little energy exercise. You can do that every day to continue releasing. Because again, this whole process of releasing yourself from resentment prison is exactly that. This is not there's no magic pill to this. But what I'm hoping is that this reframe on forgiveness will give you access to releasing yourself from resentment prison. I think that a lot of people have written to me, many of you have written me emails saying, I feel like I'm a bad person. I learned in church that I need to forgive, but I can't. I feel like something's wrong with me. And here's the thing, nothing is wrong with you. Forget forgiveness. This is the new forgiveness, or worry about forgiveness somewhere else. But as a psychotherapist, I can tell you it is absolutely appropriate and healthy and good for you to release resentment, to become self-determined, become empowered, and not let yourself and your thoughts continue to be dominated by a situation that is over, it can be very tempting for people, and I've met hundreds, probably thousands at this point in my life and in my career, that let that one horrible incident, that one unforgivable action that someone perpetrated against them, and it defines them for the rest of their lives. Now, for sure, I don't want that for you. And you don't want that for you. Because by releasing the resentment, you will then have more access to what did you gain? Meaning, even if it's just acknowledging your strength. Not that you wish that terrible thing happened, because of course we don't wish that. But you are still here. And there is something to celebrate about acknowledging what a great job you're doing. All of the things that you have survived. And here you are, listening to this podcast, watching this video on YouTube, like here you are still in it, wanting to be more and more liberated from pain in your life. So I really hope that this process helps you with that. I would love to hear all about it as we celebrate National Forgiveness Week together, or in our own circles, we're going to call it National Release Resentment Week. Okay, that is our reframe. This is the new forgiveness. I love to hear from you, so please let me know how this went for you. If you think that there's someone in your life who could use this, please share this with them, and drop your questions and your thoughts. Follow me on Instagram. I'm always really active, especially on Instagram and in the blog, and right here on YouTube. So drop your questions, drop your thoughts, because you know what, you guys, you deserve to be free from lingering resentment. You really, really do. So I hope you have an amazing week releasing yourself from that. And as always, take care of you.